All right, welcome back. Remember, so hopefully you are clicking on this link after watching um you're watching this video after watching the first little snit from the weekly dose of empowerment, all right? Now, if you haven't, why would you do that? Don't cheat yourself. Go and get that content, please. It's free. It's put out there for you. Quickly to rehash what I'm talking about, what I'm covering this week is what caused me to study trauma, right? What caused me to get into the traumatic space and enter this space. All right. So I'm gonna just recap briefly because sometimes we circumvent and we don't follow things in a straight line, and that's okay. I am a combative person by nature. I love challenge. So when you tell me that something is difficult to do, or when you tell me that something is too hard for a person to recover from, or for a person to navigate, you instantly got my attention and I'm going to engage because maybe it's some of that younger that, I grew up as the youngest of my siblings, right? I have some younger siblings, but I was reared as the youngest of my people, right? Of my siblings. So I grew up, I was the little brother, and I constantly was like, kind of needing to kind of show that, I was wise enough and all of that stuff, right? So I was doing all of these things, trying to put myself in a position to to really say, you know what? Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Hey, nah, he cool, little bro, cool. And I was trying to prove, right? So, and it was obstacles. So that kind of sparked what you see now in that sense of just being combative. And I call it combative because it sounds fun, right? It it's one of those, I'm taking that word because we typically think about combative as a person who is out to recklessly destroy things. And in this case, I'm just out to recklessly tear down and deconstruct all myths. So I guess I'm destroying things, but it's myths, not people or things. I want to challenge ideas that we hold, right? So I got into this space particularly because of that, specifically because of that. Initially, I wasn't even thinking about it. Although I had an affinity toward it, I thought about how could I successfully work with this particular population. Okay. And so I took some trainings, but and I'm going through the training, I'm reading the books, I'm studying and studying and studying. And what I'm seeing is constantly this refrain of, oh, it's trauma is, again, talking. If you Let me just insert right here. If you haven't watched my 5 things you need to know about trauma, please do. You can stop, pause right now. Regardless of what video platform you're viewing me in, you should be able to come back and pick up right where I'm at. Um, but but I want you to watch that, and specifically point five of the 5 things, so you can understand what what makes me so passionate about what I'm about to share. So all of this stuff that I was going through just constantly propagated this idea that trauma scars people, and it's going to always be visible. Your scars are visible. And I take offense to that because what it does is it puts a person in a perpetual space of victimhood, right? You are constantly now, instead of understanding that you can grow from those experiences, you're watching out. You become even more hyper vigilant about the thing, the sensation, the area, the person, the type of people, the whoever might you fill in the blank that might cause you to experience a resurgence of memories and sensations and feelings and fears and union and this and the that. That does not need to be the case. You can actually it's my contention, it is my belief, sincerely held belief, that you can recover from the point to the point that the stain of the traumatic experience and the emotional response is less, and it's pretty much erased, where you can continue to function as a human being, and you take what was initially, maybe a slice of victimhood, and you change it and you make it the source of your energy, the source of your fuel, the purpose, the drive. Okay. And all we're doing in that space is rethinking. We're recalibrating our thinking about traumatic traumatic events, traumatic experiences, and how you can navigate and adjust from that. So, one of the things that I said, the way that this works is instead of repelling when we have the experience, we learn to lean in. Now, I'm not saying go jump head first, right? Because that can overwhelm your circuitry, but learning to progressively lean in and get your amygdala retrained to respond to situations and circumstances differently. Reminders, what they call trauma reminders or triggers. Okay, so you learn to lean into that stuff so that the activation and the sensations that would normally come up, or how you would normally react or respond from an emotional place, gets minimized. And when you can minimize that, and you're not, constantly trying to do these coping skill things, you're learning how to integrate the experience, right? And for every time that there is a reminder, a trigger, then you say to yourself, that is an area that I'm still working on. Okay. Remember, it's not the event. The event is long past. The event has happened and it's over with. It was an event. Okay. If it's continuing to happen, that's something different. We need to get you out of that situation, and then we can work on the sensations and the experience after the fact. But while you were still in it, it's an event, it's ongoing, it's current. But most of the events that we are responding to are in the past. They have already happened. I don't care if it was 20 minutes ago. It's in the past. And so we learn how to integrate, learn from the experience, learn from that, and begin to take inventory of our emotions and regulate them and manage them effectively. And you can do this, and you don't have to be some guru, and you don't have to go through all of the newfound training. You're just learning how to do this. I'm getting back to basics with this stuff. um it's not to take anything away from all of the great work that people are doing. It just is not for me. It's not the way that I approach things. Okay. I guess it's because I'm on the cusp of that baby boom Gen X type um, situation, right? So there's that grit along with the embracing the new latest and greatest. But this space for me is where my inner analog shines, and it's necessary because we take responsibility for our stuff. Okay, that doesn't mean that you take responsibility for what the person did to you, or what event happened. Okay, what you experienced. No, you can't control how life happens to you. If you watched any of my videos any length of time, you know this is one of my mantras. This is something that I hold dear, and I live by this. I cannot control how life happens to me, but I can't control how I happen to life. And that takes me from being a victim to being a victor. Now I'm no longer now I'm no longer opposed or oppressed. I'm free to make my choice. So in doing that, no one can make me feel anything. No one can injure me unless I allow them to. They can attempt to by the stuff that they do. And I don't recognize, and I recognize that certain instances and events can have momentary pain, but it's again, you got to go and watch the 5 things that you need to know. But without even watching that, what I'm saying, what I want you to know for this week of this weekly dose of empowerment is when you learn to lean into the sensations ever so slightly, ever so gradually, you begin to retrain the brain to respond the way that you want to respond to the event. Otherwise, you will continue to respond as if the event is happening in the here and now, and it's not. It's a past event. You were just experiencing the sensations of it in the present. So you recognize and say, I'm still dealing with X from this event. Let me pull it to the present and deal with it in the here and now. And you lean into it. Okay. So again, daily dose of empowerment. Learn to lean in, and you reduce the the efficacy or the impact, the intensity of the trigger. All right. Again, hopefully this helps. Hopefully this is getting you in a different space, giving you a taste of what I'm going to be doing in the weeks and months and years ahead. It's just all about empowering you to begin to live a fuller life, to begin to live and take the reins back for your life and take responsibility for your life. Okay. So, again, Dr. Brandon Shern, EMHC, signing out.